Good afternoon, viewers back home. And if you're watching this video with us, this is going to be week 7, a presentation for week 7. And today, my guest is Dr. Aliyu Bununu from the Department of Urban and Regional Planning from the Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria. Doctor, you're welcome to this talk today.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Today, Doc, we're going to be talking about agriculture in Nigeria. We're going to be talking about food security. And if we have some time, we will talk also about infrastructure. It's been an interesting year for us, hasn't it? And it's been a very interesting year for everybody around the world, but for Nigeria in particular. And one of the key things that worried me when this COVID crisis started was the issue of food security in Nigeria. How do you see the state of food security in Nigeria today?
The state of food security in Nigeria today, I would say, is a bit precarious, really.
Okay.
Considering that, our agricultural practices are still the dated practices.
Correct.
What our forefathers, and even the ones before them did is what we are still doing. And another thing is that because those practices have endured over time, and the fact that, of course, you are aware of what has happened to us in terms of our history, the discovery of oil, where agriculture was, where we decided to move to, and in a way, abandon agriculture.
Correct.
We really haven't made much investments, in agriculture. And that's why I had say it is precarious, because today the challenges are many. One key challenge, is that of climate change.
Okay.
Because agriculture in Nigeria, apart from the practices, well, you could also put that as part of the practices, really. Is that we are heavily reliant on the elements. It's rain fed.
I see your point.
So you can imagine what will happen if the rains don't come.
So they don't come.
As they should, or they vary, and then you have losses, and that becomes. So the truth of the matter is that we are fine if the rains do come.
Okay, I see.
But if they don't, that's why I use the word precarious.
It's a good point, Doc.
Funny enough, we have a lot of water resource potential.
Correct.
You know of the river basins.
I was just going to say
70s.
Yes, I was just going to say that we had all these river basin programs which were there. What happened to those programs, and what's happening with those programs?
Well, the thing is that they are still there. We still have civil servants on the payrolls. Yes.
Oh.
If you drive to the Hadejia area, you see the headquarters of the Hadejia River Basin.
Oh, as a kid.
Around Kano, yes.
Around Kano. In Ondo State, we had what they call the Benio-Owena River Basin Development. Do you understand? True. In the 80s. So you're saying that those organizations are still there today?
Honestly, they're still there. They're still there.
Oh, fantastic.
And they were set up to help us move towards more of irrigation agriculture.
Correct. So, but why can't we move to that then? That was going to be my next question. What is the key challenge? Why is it that, in Egypt, for example, you go to Egypt, everything is irrigation based. It's been based like that for thousands of years. Why are we finding it difficult, at least in this day and age, to go to an irrigation based system?
Yeah, I think in our own case, again, the answer is obvious as far as I'm concerned. Oil happened.
Okay, I see.
Even though some people were smart enough way back in the 70s, even though there was oil then, the so-called Green Revolution, that was what brought the river basin.
Correct.
So oil happened, and the truth is agriculture is profitable, but it's also hard work. I have followed this series you have had. You started by your introduction before you met with the gentleman, I think the engineer, Omole, right?
Omole, yes, correct.
Yes.
Correct.
But you see, there was something you said which resonated with me, that in Nigeria, some people don't want to do anything. Yes, granted, there are no jobs.
There are no jobs,
but we
yes.
still have a huge chunk of our youth who actually don't want to do anything.
Exactly.
When you discussed security the last time, you mentioned that, why would somebody who has seen the good money in kidnapping want to be a farmer? So
that's
you see,
the point.
Yes, so I'm connecting my discussion to your previous discussions, actually. That yes, we need to make progress, and there are only two ways that provide that opportunity. We need to build and in some cases upgrade our infrastructure, and we need to also invest heavily in agriculture. I have been a farmer for 16 years now. I'm an academic, but I'm also a farmer, and that's why I'm comfortable talking to you about agriculture. I didn't study agricultural science in the university.
No.
But I've been a farmer, for 16 years now. So my point is, with a little bit of investment, with the right commitment, getting the right people into it, agriculture is profitable. I always tell people, food never goes out of fashion.
It never goes out of fashion.
With all your technology, if you like, go beyond the galaxies as we know them, you will still eat food. It's that same food that we have been growing for thousands of years. You take to the International Space Station. It doesn't go out of fashion.
It doesn't go.
We can see now today we are talking about new fuels, renewable energy.
Correct.
And that oil can actually one day become useless, right?
Correct.
But what about food? Will it ever be useless?
No.
So my point is, I quite agree with you. So coming back to your question, what happened? Like I said, oil happened. And then we became distracted, and then people saw that, okay, I can make easy money here and there, so I can be, a government official, and do the usual thing, and also, you mentioned the issue of strategy, Kunle. I think it was you or the gentleman you discussed with. He said we didn't have strategy. I also want to agree with that, because again, look at our history since independence, or even since independence, I dare say. We have had the plans, but we really never, put our foot down to really implement them.
Correct.
And that is what has caused, us to start thinking that if you are a farmer, it's not such a fashionable thing.
It's not fashionable.
The young people don't want to go into it, and we never had the courage to now say that let us grow what we consume.
What we consume. But Doc, how can we change that? How can we change that? I mean, you look at our generation now, Doc.
Yes.
One of the things that worries me is that, okay, let's assume that people say, the older people have failed. Okay, let's assume they failed. What can our own generation do to change it? What can we do to change this?
Well, to change this, we all need to change the way we think, as far as I'm concerned. Okay. One of the key things for me is, the mindset of the average Nigerian, and and because the youth are more, so I would say the mindset of the Nigerian youth.
Okay.
Like I was saying, I mean, people, don't think of taking advantage of opportunity in Nigeria. Because today, as we are, with all the troubles and, with all the shortcomings, there is still opportunity in the agricultural value chain.
Correct.
The fact that this current government said we are not going to import rice, or rather, we're not going to give you forex to import rice.
Correct.
Has created an entirely new industry. But the issue is that, somebody who is smart, I mean, I was just thinking, about these things the other day. I say, is life really about creating opportunity or taking advantage of opportunities?
I see. I see.
For me, you stumble more on opportunities and take advantage of them than you actually being the one who creates that opportunity.
I see.
So even if I never wanted to be in the agriculture business, but all of a sudden there is opportunity.
It's there. There's a gap there, and you are filling that gap immediately.
Why do we have large corporations doing mergers and acquisitions? Why do they do that? It's because they've seen opportunity.
There's an opportunity. There's
Some
a gap.
even move away from their traditional business models, just to take advantage of certain opportunities.
It's a very good point, Doc.
So I think it needs to, yes, you have seen yourself as, yes. No, you have seen yourself becoming something. Yes, you have seen yourself becoming something. Maybe there has been a dream in that direction and so on. But then if things are not working out in that way, is it not better to have a rethink?
A rethink.
And then look around you and see how you can adjust to the circumstances in your environment and make the best of it.
And make the best of it.
I mean, I know you're an avid reader. We have read about how people set out to be whatever they dreamed of doing, or becoming, but they end up they end up not realizing those things. And then they come back around and do some other things, and perhaps later on go back to those dreams.
And go to that. But Doc, let me ask you two challenges I see though for us to be able to do this. One, you're a farmer, and I know that to a level, I think farming is capital intensive. Okay, so this is one. Let me ask the second question. The second question then relates to land reforms. I know that other countries who have had this kind of problem before, where there was a land issue, say South Korea, those kind of places, what they did was that they did land reform, bought all the land from the people who are holding it, then they gave it to the people and said, whatever we get from this, So how does capital, the amount of money and the land, how does it play in Nigeria? Please go ahead, Doc.
Yes, so I will start with the issue of land reform. And that's because it's an easier question to answer.
Okay.
And I will tell you, there is no farmer in Nigeria that can, at least where I operate, especially in the north. I don't know so much. I have lived in the southern part. I was in Ibadan as a student, So I know some of this. You see, Kule, you can borrow land. In Nigeria, you can borrow land and farm.
I see.
Our system is not as regulated as other places. Yes, if you were in Zimbabwe or South Africa or some of these Southern African countries, there is a land question there. Even in North Africa, the Egypt you were talking about, earlier, it's difficult to get access to land. Okay. The land I'm currently cultivating, I don't own it.
I see.
Yes. And it's just a little below 10 hectares. And in that same area, if I identified an additional 10 hectares, those people will be willing to accommodate me.
I think I need to talk to you after the meeting.
So definitely, for me, the opportunity is there, land is there. Just step up to people, tell them you are looking for land. If you want to set up something like poultry,
correct,
that you need to build certain infrastructure and so on, that's a different issue. Then you can have a challenge on land that you need to set up, like the
the battery
structure, the shed for the and so on. Maybe you need to own the land. But I've always believed that whatever you want to do, why don't you start small?
Correct.
And then watch it grow. And as you watch it grow, you also get the experience, you learn from some of your mistakes, your failures, and so on. So honestly, there is no land constraint for anybody who wants to farm in Nigeria, especially crop production. Farmlands are there. Step up, go and talk to the village elders or the village head or whomever. Introduce yourself. That is what they want.
I see.
At the end of the day, when I'm done, I take, something and just give to the people who
send it back to them. I see. Yes.
I don't rent. That's my point. They are not even collecting rent from me. It's about this personal relationship.
Personal relationship.
In some respects, yes, in some cases, I've heard of people who rent. Okay. Now, the issue of investment capital, right?
Correct.
When I started farming in 2006, 2007, thereabouts, I actually started small. I did not cultivate an area that was up to 1 hectare.
Okay.
Today, I'm telling you that my rice farm is about 10 hectares, right? So what I did was I started, with something I could manage. If you can, get something as little as 50,000 naira. I'm sorry, for some people, 50,000 naira is much.
No, but
you can still manage a small farm. Because what are the inputs? You see, one of the key money guzzling activity when it comes to farming is actually control of weed.
Okay.
Weed control is the key issue, yes. Okay. Because even fertilizer itself is not so expensive. A 1 hectare rice farm can do with 3 bags of fertilizer.
Wow. A whole hectare.
Yes.
A whole hectare.
Yes, a 1 hectare, yes. Because the first application, you can go 1 bag of urea, 50 kilograms. Second application might be 2 bags, because then the rice has come up a bit, and then you find yourself trying to make sure you apply it as much as possible. And then the plowing, for instance, with that 1 hectare, the plowing could cost maybe between 8 and 10,000 naira.
So
the tractor can come and do it for you.
So your point is that it's not as capital intensive as some of us think, actually.
It's not as, it depends on where you are starting. That's my point. Then, so I said weed control is one key thing. Today, thankfully, because of cheap imports from China, we also have a lot of very good herbicides in the market. So instead of having to go and hire people to come and bend over and remove weed from your farm, you just get somebody with a knapsack who goes around to spray.
And he just sprays it everywhere.
He sprays the farm. So the labor that you would have paid like 20,000, 30,000, now you can get, both labor and even the herbicides, maybe at around 15,000 naira.
Wow.
Okay, you do that twice and you're through the season, and then you look forward to your harvest.
Let me switch tact a bit, Doc. Yes, one other issue that always worries me is, like you, my dad also was a farmer. Do you understand?
Yes,
my dad
had said so when we were in school.
Yes, he had a sizable farm. But the major challenge that he used to have was how to sell the product. Do you understand? So the value chain. I remember as a kid, when I went with him, he had cotton on his farm, he had oil palm, he had yam. So he had all of that. And it was a sizable farm. But the problem was, whenever he harvested it, to be able to move it into the value chain was always a challenge. His logistics was not particularly good. What is your experience today? For example, you plant rice. How do you then distribute? How do you sell and distribute?
The truth of the matter is that, thankfully, like I said, this government decided to say we are not going to encourage rice import.
Correct.
And that solved that problem, at least 80% for farmers.
Okay.
That's why today I no longer grow anything. I'm trying to specialize in rice. And honestly, Kunle, let me be honest with you, rice has become gold. Right now, it's the truth. As I'm sitting down here, if I had 100 bags of rice, I just need to make a phone call. And I will be given value. I will be given that money today.
Wow.
I'll be given that money today. That is how. So you see, it's just a small government policy that has created, that has solved. You see, a lot of people would argue, okay, why did the government, I'm not trying to be partisan or anything.
Not at all. I agree with you.
But where we have seen the good, let us say it. A lot of people would argue that, because we have stopped, we have stopped encouraging rice imports, the imported bag is 27,000 naira today.
Yes, but
yes, I agree.
Yes, but
I agree. But as we speak again, the local rice is 20,000 naira today.
Correct.
At least it's 7,000 much less. And I know that with time, with improved production, with improved milling, it is also going to continue to come down. But again, even if we are going to remain at 20,000, remember it is creating jobs.
It's creating jobs. It's giving our people skills. We are creating a value chain. I mean,
we are creating a value chain.
Exactly. For me, we talk about the farm, but you're also talking about the milling now, for example. We're talking about logistics. So there's so much that you create doing that value chain. Doc, I always give people an example. I said, when we were in school, they taught us that the two biggest places to import wheat in the world are Egypt and Russia. Now, per capita, it is 100 times for Japan to produce wheat per capita compared to those guys. But they do it because it's a national policy.
True.
Do you understand? So I agree with you completely that it's not only about the money immediately, it's about the job creation, the value chain, and all of that.
Exactly.
Wow, this is very good. I'm going to switch a little, Doc, and ask you another question. Okay. You mentioned to us earlier in the discussion, you said you experience a lot in the north. I follow agriculture a lot in the north, and I see I have to be honest, I'm very impressed. Cabbage, onions, tomato plants coming up. I saw the Dangote tomato plant. Do you understand? I remember on our way to school when we were younger, in Bida, between Bida and Mina, there used to be all the Bailey farms, Bagudu farms, and all of that. And I'm a bit worried, particularly for those of us in the South, that, look, there are so many things that we can learn in terms of agriculture from the North, particularly to supplement what is being done there. They will say to us, the food basket of Nigeria is around the Benue Trough, Gongola, Benue, Plateau. What can we learn?
Nasarawa,
Exactly. What can those of us in the South learn from the North, particularly in terms of producing food? Because I say this with a bit of respect. You see, when I was a kid, we used to grow okra, grow tomatoes. It was a different species of tomato in the South from the North. That species you don't see anymore now. So what are the major lessons that we can take from the North in this regard, particularly in agriculture? If you were Minister of Agriculture, for example, what would you?
Yes,
because you would like to have a policy, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would. Yeah. So that's a really tricky question you're asking me, because again,
I put you on the spot.
I hope you are not suggesting that there isn't agriculture in the South, because the truth is there is. There are things that are being produced in the South that can't be produced in the North. But you see, the difference is that the terrain, in terms of the weather, and climatic, issues, as well as vegetation and other considerations of the South, make it a bit more tedious. Through those old practices, for you to get by as a farmer.
I see what you mean, because you need to clear. All right.
Yes, and it's almost always evergreen in the South.
Correct.
In the North, land preparation is done when there is hardly any grass in sight. No grass, no shrubs in sight, because the place would have been dry. And then the first rains come, and then how we bring our tractors and begin plowing. But in the South, it's different, right? But we also know that the South can do cassava, right? Oil palm, right? Cocoa, also in the South. And we can go on and on, right? In the North, yes, there is specialization about the cereals, right? But we also all depend on the cereals.
On the cereals, exactly.
Because the beans, the rice, the corn, sorghum, and so on, grown in the North is still required in the South. For the different, staples that we consume.
Staples.
So, but for me, it's one country, right? What I had do as a Greek minister would be to strengthen what we can produce in the North, and also make same investments in the South.
In the South.
In what we can do in the South. And of course, what stops somebody resident in I have a friend who lives in Lagos. One of his goals is actually to move to the North because of farming.
Oh, farming.
So what stops that population?
It's one country. Exactly.
That is it. If you have a lot of people in the North, in Zamfara, Kebbi area who are more interested in some other things they don't want to farm? What about you thinking of encouraging somebody from the south to move over to the north?
You're right. I mean, we remember the Lekki Kebbi, Lagos Kebbi arrangement on rice.
That was the Lake rice. Yes. And then, you know, the Kebbi example, I got my current rice seeds that I'm using from Kebbi. And you'll be astonished. One bag, the first year, Kule, one bag of rice I put on the ground as seeds gave me 40 bags of paddy.
Now, in fact,
I planted one bag, I got 40 bags.
40 bags. Wow. Yes. You know, you make a good point there, Doc. In fact, the next thing that you said that really struck me was the fact about seedlings. Do you understand? I remember when my dad was a farmer, we used to have AMTI. There was a company called AMTI in Ilorin. Then there is IITA in Ibadan. There's NIFOR in Benin. Do you understand? And all of these companies used to give us seedlings, you know?
True.
How is that market today? Do we still have those kind of infrastructure today?
You know, all of those things are still there. NIFOR is there, you know, Institute of Agric Research is here in ABU's area, you know, IITA is still there and so on. But you see, again, I will go back to what I said earlier. Our priorities changed.
You
see, Kule, I've always argued, farmers will not get by in Nigeria if they produced only for the local market. Those research institutes will not be viable if they are catering for farmers who are producing only for local
consumption. I see.
Why don't we make ourselves the producers of food for West Africa, for instance? When I travel out of Nigeria,
to have a bigger dream.
Yes. When I go to supermarkets in Europe or, you know, in Asia, or even in the United States sometimes, I see the nationality of some of the vegetables I see on the shelves. It's written, you see South African apple. You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
You see watermelon from Turkey.
From Turkey, mango from India.
The Egypt you were talking about, they are known for potatoes. They export potatoes. I mean, we need to start thinking like that. All those things will do well in Nigeria, you know. But again, we need to change the way we think. We need to have very bold ideas. You know, we need to dream big. One of our biggest problems is that we think other people can do things, but we
cannot do it.
We cannot do them. I don't know why we think like that. So that's why I said we need to change our thinking. We need to have the ideas, we need to translate them into plans, and we need to walk the talk and make sure if it's going to take us 10 years, 15 years, like you were saying, your last video, that these things before they change take a bit of time.
Correct.
So we need to have the patience, we need to have the resilience. You know, people need to talk to themselves and, you know, tell themselves the truth that, you know, you can't be successful overnight.
Doc, I will ask you one last question before we wrap up this segment.
It's all right.
To bring you to another session because this discussion needs to continue. But I'm going to ask you the question on cash crops. Yes. I mean, if you look at Nigeria in the 50s, before we discovered oil, everything was based on cash crops. We remember those granite pyramids. You remember the cocoa. You remember the oil palm. We had rubber. The other day, I was going outside Calabar. I ran into rubber plantation.
Rubber plantation, yes.
The scale of those things.
Very beautiful scenery, I must add, when you are driving out of Calabar.
Exactly. I ran into these things and I'm thinking, what happened to all of these things? So now, how can we get back to having those things?
We can, Kule, but I know we are almost out of time, but we can, but we need to invest in the infrastructure. You know, those things were able to thrive after independence because the Europeans, that was their interest in Nigeria.
Correct.
They built the rail because they wanted to move these things to the ports and export them.
Correct.
So we have virtually destroyed the infrastructure. So now, even if we had the granite pyramids, I mean, it takes so much to
bring it back. I see.
That is it. So we need to invest in the infrastructure before even going back to invest in the production of this.
I see. I see.
And yes, those things are still viable. They will work. Granite is still well sought after. you know, oil palm is still well sought after. I mean,
Correct.
when I was studying in Malaysia, I saw the range of the products that can come out of
palm
oil palm.
Doc, I was going to ask
these guys, they don't eat it. We eat palm oil only, as we think that's the only use.
Yes.
I mean, the pharmaceutical products,
pharmaceutical,
cosmetics,
lubrication, soap,
lubricants,
yes.
Even building materials from oil palm.
Yes. In fact, I was going to ask you that question because one day I took a road trip from Kuala Lumpur to Johor Bahru, just on the border of Singapore.
Johor Bahru, that's my city. That's where I did my
city. Exactly.
Yes.
I got on a bus from Kuala Lumpur to Johor Bahru, and I was thinking, goodness me, if you saw the amount of plantations.
Yes.
So
almost covering the entire 300 kilometers of that.
Exactly. And that's what made those countries. So I'm thinking we need to have a policy. We need to continue this discussion, Doc. I'm telling you, I feel that there are some things that we need to be able to get together as a next generation and put packages together and write these things as policies. Because if you don't have a strategy, you don't have a plan, you will not make any progress.
Sure, I agree with you.
I thank you so much for your time today. We were supposed to cover infrastructure today, so I need to reschedule that for you at some other time. I appreciate your time and thank you so much. Thank you again.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Thank you very much. Nice to see you.